course, something of a royal scandal way back on the 23rd of February 1963 at a cinema in the Mile End Road in East London. That's right, because this particular explosion, and we think of everything as we see it today, don't we, with all the royal bombshells and scandals, well, this truly could have escalated and been incredibly damaging for our late monarch, Her Majesty the Queen, and of course Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. How are you? Nice to see you today. And as ever, thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, we often think about royal scandals, particularly in this climate today, book after book, and everybody thinks, oh, it rocked the monarchy. The monarchy's been rocked for decades, even before we even knew what that word meant. You look in the history books from the Middle Ages, Tudors, Victoriana, you name it, every bombshell that can possibly have happened has happened. But of course, every generation has bigger sort of bombshells, don't they? And on this particular one, as I say, on the 23rd of February 1963, this all really centered around the premiere of a movie. It was a movie basically starring Barbara Windsor, her very big sort of break, if you like, into the mainstream media. Barbara literally went on to become the nation's favourite as a little bubbly blonde in the Carry On movies and so much more. A consummate actress who really could do so many things, from pantomime, singing to serious roles. But of course, as she knew, everybody wanted the giggle, the wiggle, and of course, as she put it, the two extras. But she was great fun nonetheless, lucky enough to meet her on many different occasions. But on this occasion, you see, this is where it gets interesting, they were holding the premiere, and across the road at their big club was none other than the after show party with the Krays. That's right, the infamous Kray twins. Now, lots of celebrities turned up on that night and on that evening for the world premiere of Sparrows Can't Sing. It was a sort of, kitchen sink drama, as they call them, gritty realism about the East End of London that time. But you see, while Roger Moore, now riding high as the Saint, alongside many other big names, including Sean Connery and many others, well, the Krays couldn't believe their luck, because set to attend that world premiere at the ABC Cinema on the Mile End Road was none other than this, Her Majesty the Queen's sister, Princess Margaret. That's right. Now, she apparently could not understand the fuss and nonsense about attending such premiere. She thought that this would put the monarchy in a clickability, making sure that she was seen in an area that normally royals are not. But of course, one might suggest she didn't know the fuller picture. Others tell me that's not the case. You see, the after-show party, as I say, was going to be held at the infamous Krays Club. They were laying on the food, the champagne, and more importantly, the picture, the photographer. And the photographer was going to take every possible picture. You see, the Kray twins were desperate to get near royalty, without a shadow of a doubt. They wanted a picture with anybody, quite frankly, who could help their, shall we say, establishment. They'd already courted and won over various ministers of the government, which were exposed at a later point. And of course, film stars and celebrities were their sort of key, their cachet. In fact, it really helped their brand. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Obviously, what they did was terrible crimes. But it's interesting. Now, right until the 11th hour, Princess Margaret was apparently very keen to go. And there was a bit of a rumpus over at Kensington Palace. But right on cue, and very, very conveniently, Barbara Windsor told me directly that Princess Margaret conveniently caught something of a shocking cold. Now, not to offend the Krays, she decided in her place could go was none other than her husband, Lord Snowdon. Now, as we know, he was rather adventurous too, and loved the idea of rocking up the establishment and turning up at that particular event, obviously seen a bigger idea of taking perhaps a picture with the Krays himself. After all, he now developed a very successful photography sideline business, all akin to the British monarchy. Now, what happened was, as I say, the Krays were less than thrilled because they'd already decided to pull out all the stops at their club for this particular event, particularly when they thought finally they were going to get some real-life royalty in their midst. Now, according to Barbara Windsor, nobody ever truly believed that Princess Margaret had a cold. Somebody very tactfully pointed out this wouldn't look very good for the monarchy. But she herself said, even by not turning up, they managed to grab the headlines, and this made a movie a huge success. Later on in life, according to Barbara, Princess Margaret said she'd privately seen the film and thought that she gave a wonderful performance and would have so loved to have attended the world premiere. But as Barbara pointed out, Princess Margaret knew the value of publicity more than any royal, and certainly knew how to court controversy. For Barbara Windsor, it was the start of a sparkling career. For Lord Snowdon, a lot of people said he should have also caught something, and maybe stayed back in Kensington Palace with his wife, Princess Margaret. To say Her Majesty the Queen was less than thrilled is an understatement. And as I said at the start of this video, royal scandals, quite frankly, nothing new. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.